Today, we're breaking down the 7 levels of movie actresses, from the hopeless to the historic. Let's get into it. Level 1, trash. Pamela Anderson. Pamela Anderson is the prototype of level 1, someone whose fame exploded long before her acting ever had a chance to catch up. She didn't enter Hollywood as a performer, she arrived as a phenomenon. Baywatch didn't require subtlety, emotional depth, or technique. It required slow motion runs, glossy close-ups, and instant recognition. And that's where Anderson thrived. She became a brand, a cultural symbol, but never a dramatic force. Almost every role she landed framed her as Pamela Anderson playing Pamela Anderson, which meant she never had to build a character, just maintain an image. And when Hollywood finally tried placing her into real acting spaces, the cracks were impossible to hide. But the real question is this: was Pamela ever meant to be an actress, or was she simply cast as herself for 30 straight years? That is probably a question only Pamela knows the answer to. Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton isn't an actress. She's a social experiment that accidentally ended up in movies. She became famous through nightlife, scandal, and an invented persona that was more performance art than performance. By the time Hollywood gave her roles in films like House of Wax, she was already playing a caricature of herself. Directors didn't cast Paris because she could disappear into a character. They cast her because the audience already recognized her and they wanted that recognition on screen. She wasn't asked to act, she was asked to embody a pop culture punchline. Every performance felt like an extension of her public image, the voice, the poses, and the detachment. But here's the twist: Paris Hilton is better at pretending to be Paris Hilton than people think. She engineered an entire generation of influencer culture, but acting, that was never the goal. Still, we have to ask, what happens when Hollywood mistakes notoriety for talent? Megan Fox. Megan Fox is different from the others in this tier because she could have become more, but her career was built on the wrong foundation, being the it girl rather than a serious performer. Transformers didn't introduce her as a character, it introduced her as a camera movement. Every shot emphasized allure instead of ability. Fox was marketed as a symbol before she was ever allowed to be an actress. And once Hollywood put her into roles that required emotional range, the inexperience showed. Line readings felt stiff, expressions limited, and scenes that required vulnerability came across as vacant. Was it her lack of training, her lack of opportunities, or a system that valued her appearance more than her potential? Those are the questions. Did Megan Fox fail Hollywood, or did Hollywood fail her first? We'll revisit this later when we discuss how talent grows or gets stunted under pressure. Level 1 actresses aren't hired to act, they're hired to be looked at. Their fame works everywhere, except in scenes that demand skill, but there's a reason they never got to the next level. Because level 2 is where the weaknesses stop being glamorous and start becoming painfully visible. Level 2, bad. Cameron Diaz. Cameron Diaz built an entire career on charisma strong enough to mask shaky technique. When she's in a role that matches her natural energy, comedy, romance, high-tempo spectacle, she shines with an effortless glow. But the moment a film demands dramatic weight, emotional nuance, or internal depth, the limitations become obvious. Her expressions flatten. Her line delivery gets awkward. You can feel her working, not inhabiting. Diaz is someone who can act, but only if the performance asks for Cameron Diaz rather than a character. Roles like Being John Malkovich show flickers of something deeper, but the inconsistency keeps her stuck in this tier. She exists in a space where personality outperforms technique, which is why she could lead blockbusters but rarely elevate them. But here's the bigger question: why do some actresses stay frozen at this level while others push past it? Hold that thought for a while as we go to our next actress, Kristen Stewart. Kristen Stewart is defined by tension, a performer whose inner discomfort leaks into every frame. Her early work, especially in Twilight, turned stiffness into a global meme. The half-open mouth, the darting eyes, the monotone delivery, it all signaled an actress trapped in her own body. Yet beneath that awkwardness is genuine raw talent that occasionally sparks to life in indie films. Stewart's problem isn't ability, it's consistency. She can deliver a strong performance when the film aligns perfectly with her natural aura. Brooding, emotionally withdrawn, and internalized. But ask her to stretch outside that narrow lane and she collapses under the weight of expectation. You're always aware you're watching Kristen Stewart trying to act. It's not a character living through a moment. But why do some actresses break the stiffness while others stay defined by it? I'll get to that soon. January Jones. January Jones is the clearest example of an actress who looks the part, fits the frame, and carries the presence, but can't move beyond a very tight emotional range. In Mad Men, the icy detachment worked because Betty Draper is emotionally distant. But when Jones attempts roles that require warmth, volatility, or organic emotionality, everything turns wooden. Her line delivery often feels mechanical, like she's reading instead of reacting. Her expressions stay locked inside a limited palette, vacant, cold, and mildly irritated. It's not that she lacks talent, it's that her instrument hits the same notes every time. She can create atmosphere, but not depth. She can embody a mood, but not a layered human being. So the question becomes, is this a lack of skill or just miscasting that exposed her limitations? The thing is, level 2 actresses have talent, just not enough refinement. The spark is there, the consistency isn't. But level 3 is where the craft finally starts to take shape. But so do new problems. Level 3, mid, Reese Witherspoon. Reese Witherspoon is the definition of dependable mid-tier. Polished, consistent, emotionally articulate, but rarely surprising. She can anchor a film with confidence and bring a character to life with clarity, especially in roles that lean into her natural charm and sharpness. Legally, Blonde and Wild show who she is at her best. Magnetic, precise, and in total command. But the limitations appear when the material requires true transcendence. She rarely disappears into a role, she performs it. You always know you're watching Reese, a capable actress who gives you exactly what you expect. Never less, never more. Her career has flourished because she understands her strengths, sticks to them, and delivers professionalism on cue. But here's the question. Is consistency enough to break into greatness? What separates a capable star from a real actor? We'll answer that soon. Jennifer Aniston. Jennifer Aniston is a cultural icon, beloved, charismatic, instantly watchable, but that doesn't automatically translate into artistic depth. She excels in comedy and grounded drama with timing that's sharp and instincts that are reliable. In films like Cake, she shows flashes of something deeper, a willingness to stretch beyond the comfort zone. But those moments are exceptions, not patterns. Her performances often stay close to her natural persona, warm, sarcastic, and emotionally straightforward. Audiences connect with her because she feels familiar, almost like a friend on screen. The trade-off, familiarity limits transformation. She's rarely unrecognizable. She's rarely dangerous. She's rarely anything other than Jennifer Aniston. And for level 3, that's the ceiling. But here's the real question. Why do some actresses break out of their persona while others get defined by it? Unfortunately, that's a question that the mid-tier has no answer to because that answer is waiting at the next level. But before the next tier, we have one more actress in this tier. Can you guess who? Scarlett Johansson. Scarlett Johansson sits in a fascinating middle space, clearly skilled, undeniably charismatic, and capable of both subtlety and strength. When she lands the right role, like in Lost in Translation or Marriage Story, she delivers performances that suggest she could operate at a higher tier. But much of her filmography is defined by safest choice casting, roles that complement her aura rather than challenge her craft. Her biggest limitation is consistency. For every great performance, there's a stretch of movies where she blends into glossy roles that rely on presence more than transformation. She's always good, sometimes excellent, but rarely unforgettable. You sense potential, but you don't see it fully realized. So here's the lingering question. What stops strong actresses from crossing into greatness? Is it choice or ability? No matter what you think, I believe we can say level 3 actresses are Hollywood's comfort zone. Reliable, bankable, never offensive, but never transformative. They know their lane and they stay in it. But the next level, level 4, is where skill sharpens and the climb finally begins. Level 4, okay, Halle Berry. Halle Berry is one of Hollywood's most important trailblazers, the first black woman to win Best Actress, but her career sits in a frustrating balance between undeniable talent and wildly inconsistent roles. At her best, she delivers raw, charged, emotionally explosive performances in Monsters Ball, Losing Isaiah, and Frankie and Alice. In those moments, she proves she can dive deep, revealing a vulnerability and volatility few actresses can match. But too often, her filmography leans on presence instead of craft. Catwoman, Gothika, and a stream of mid-tier thrillers gave her little to work with, pulling her away from the potential she showed early on. The talent is real, but the direction of her career is uneven, and that raises a key question. Can an actress stay great when Hollywood keeps handing her lesser material? Because Barry is iconic, icons don't always become masters. Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts is one of the biggest movie stars of all time, radiant, warm, and effortlessly charismatic. She defined the 90s and early 2000s with a presence that could light up every frame she stepped into. When she hits the right role, like in Erin Brockovich or August Osage County, she proves she has genuine dramatic force beneath the smile. She can be fierce, grounded, and even transformative when the material challenges her. But here's the truth. Roberts often relies on magnetic charm over deep technique. Many performances, romantic comedies, light dramas, breezy star vehicles, sit comfortably in her persona rather than push past it. You watch her because she's Julia Roberts, not because the character demands reinvention. So if charisma can build a career this massive, why doesn't it guarantee greatness? Well, it's because greatness requires more than star power. While it is obvious that Roberts is beloved, she didn't rewrite the craft, and that's why she's at this level. Angelina Jolie? Angelina Jolie might be the most iconic screen presence of her generation, a mix of danger, elegance, and emotional rawness that made her unforgettable from her earliest roles in Girl Interrupted and A Mighty Heart. They show the depth she can reach when the script gives her room to burn slowly instead of posing as a cinematic goddess, because when she leans into authenticity, she's electric. But much of her career chose spectacle over substance. Action franchises, glossy thrillers, and Roles built around her image turned her into a myth rather than an actor. Her persona often overshadows her craft, creating a distance between who she could be and the roles she accepted. And it leads to this question: why do actresses with Oscar-level talent drift into roles that never demand it? Regardless of the reason, Jolie remains a star. But star power isn't the same as mastery. In this level, we can say these actresses change box office history, but not always through acting skill. And the next level is where acting becomes art. Level 5. Good. Charlize Theron. Charlize Theron built a career on one of the rarest acting qualities: total self-erasure. She doesn't just disappear into roles, she detonates her own image every time she accepts one. Monster wasn't just a physical transformation, it was a psychological dive that felt reckless, brutal, and fearless. In Mad Max Fury Road, she dominated a film where the title character barely spoke. In Bombshell, she became Megyn Kelly so completely that audiences forgot they were watching Charlize at all. But her career also reveals the boundary of level 5. Bold choices don't always equal perfect films. For every transformative role, there's a mid-tier action flick or uneven drama Theron features in. Too bad the material doesn't always rise to her level. And that leads to the real question: if she's this good, why isn't she considered a GOAT? Well, it's because greatness requires extreme highs with no lows. Amy Adams. Amy Adams is one of the most emotionally precise actresses working today. She doesn't dominate a scene through volume or flamboyance. She slips into it with vulnerability so authentic it feels like a confession. In Arrival, she delivered one of the most restrained yet devastating performances of the decade. In American Hustle and The Fighter, she proved she could go dark, sharp, and morally tangled without losing her humanity. Her strength is subtlety, the kind of acting that doesn't beg for attention but earns it slowly. Yet that subtlety is also why she isn't universally crowned as one of the greatest ever. Many of her best performances live in films that don't hit cultural saturation. Some of her Oscar runs were overshadowed by louder, flashier roles from other actresses. Still, her craft is undeniable, as Adams doesn't just play emotion, she calibrates it. And level 5 is built on that kind of mastery. Cate Blanchett. Cate Blanchett is the closest this level gets to perfection. A master technician who shapes every movement, breath, and vocal shift with surgical intent. She's a chameleon without gimmicks. From Elizabeth to Blue Jasmine, to Carol to T.R. Blanchett morphs with an intelligence and control that feels almost alien. She doesn't just transform physically, she transforms intellectually. Every role feels studied, sculpted, and sharpened into something definitive. But here's the catch. Her brilliance is so refined that sometimes it creates distance. Blanchett's precision can feel less like raw emotional instinct and more like elite craftsmanship. That's not a flaw, but it's the difference between her and one of the greats. Some of her performances feel engineered, not lived in, and that slight remove is what keeps her from level 6. But take nothing from level 5, as where it ends is where greatness begins. Level 6. Great. Frances McDormand. Frances McDormand acts like she's allergic to dishonesty. Every character she portrays feels rooted in lived experience, not performance. From Fargo's Marge Gunderson to 3 Billboards to Nomadland, she embodies people who don't feel like roles, but like human beings caught in quiet, seismic moments. McDormand's secret is restraint. She never overreaches for emotion, awards, or applause. Her choices feel grounded, almost stubbornly unpolished. She is one of the only actresses in history to win Oscars in 3 different decades, a testament to skill that doesn't dim with age. Directors trust her with characters who must carry the weight of entire worlds, because she brings an authenticity most actors can't fake. She also refuses glamour, refuses Hollywood nonsense, and refuses anything that distracts from character. Her greatness comes not just from transformation, but from a purity of intent few performers ever achieve. In this level, truth is a superpower, and McDormand wields it without hesitation. She is often cited as the closest modern contender to the all-time greats, a performer who plays at the very edge of human capability. But even greatness has a limit. So what exists above greatness? Stay tuned, as we'll talk about that soon. Jodie Foster. Jodie Foster did something nearly impossible in Hollywood. She survived child stardom and emerged not just intact, but legendary. Her talent was unmistakable from the beginning. Taxi Driver proved it, The Accused confirmed it, and The Silence of the Lambs made it undeniable. Foster's acting is marked by an unusual combination: emotional intelligence, moral weight, and analytical precision. She chooses roles with purpose, often gravitating toward characters wrestling with trauma, truth, or ideology. Whether she's portraying an FBI trainee facing pure evil, a scientist reaching for cosmic meaning in Contact, or complex maternal roles later in her career, Foster grounds every moment in authenticity. Her performances don't explode, they deepen, tightening around psychological and ethical tension. Even her directing work demonstrates the same intellectual rigor. Foster's greatness lies in her discipline. She acts rarely, selectively, and brilliantly. Each new appearance feels like a reminder that some talents burn bright without burning out. Glenn Close. Glenn Close is the embodiment of prestige, a towering figure whose performances vibrate with emotional danger and psychological complexity. Fatal Attraction, Dangerous Liaisons, and The Wife. Each showcases a different weapon in her arsenal. She can play monstrous desire, icy manipulation, or simmering internal conflict with equal mastery. Her expressive range is vast, but her real power lies in control. Every close performance feels meticulously shaped, as if she's tuning the character in real time. She has a gift for portraying characters who are morally ambiguous, seductive, or quietly unraveling. In lesser hands, they'd feel melodramatic. In hers, they feel inevitable. The industry's failure to award her an Oscar, despite multiple iconic performances, has become part of her legend. Not a mark of deficiency, but a testament to how often she's been operating on a level the Academy wasn't ready to recognize. Close doesn't need statues to validate greatness. Her work already did that decades ago. And this isn't just about Glenn Close. Nobody in Level 6 has anything left to prove. Their worst performances are still better than most actresses' best. They don't rely on beauty, charisma, or celebrity. They rely on truth. Level 6 actresses dominate eras, but only a few ever transcend them. And those rare few, they belong to Level 7. GOAT tier. Level 7, GOAT. Bette Davis. Bette Davis didn't act to be liked. She acted to be unforgettable. With 10 Oscar nominations and 2 wins, she shattered Hollywood's early standards of beauty and femininity by diving into characters who were sharp, abrasive, wounded, manipulative, or outright dangerous. Roles like Jezebel and All About Eve proved her ability to channel emotional extremes with a fearlessness her era had never seen. Davis revolutionized screen intensity. She weaponized expression, building a style that blended theatrical command with psychological realism. She fought publicly for artistic freedom, challenging the studio system when almost no actress dared to. Her work didn't just entertain, it redefined what female performance could be. Bold, complex, confrontational. The truth is, Davis didn't just open doors, she kicked them off their hinges, leaving future generations walking through the wreckage she created. And that is why we consider her one of the GOAT. Katharine Hepburn. Katharine Hepburn stands as the ultimate symbol of artistic self-definition. With 4 Best Actress Oscars, still the record. She shaped a new image of womanhood on screen. Sharp-minded, independent, unbothered by convention, and unapologetically herself. Films like The Philadelphia Story, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and The Lion in Winter reveal a performer who fused elegance with iron, wit with vulnerability, and power with restraint. Hepburn's performances were never about spectacle. They were about identity. She embraced roles that mirrored her own spirit, fierce, modern, and culturally disruptive. She helped move Hollywood away from passive women and toward characters with spine, agency, and complexity. Her impact is so foundational that modern acting, categories, character archetypes, and even feminist film studies cite her as a turning point. Hepburn didn't follow Hollywood's rules, she rewrote them, and the industry never returned to what it was before. Meryl Streep. Where Davis brought force and Hepburn brought identity, Meryl Streep brought technique so advanced it borders on supernatural. With a record-setting 21 Oscar nominations and 3 wins, she is the modern standard by which all acting is measured. Her transformations, emotional, physical, linguistic, are so precise they feel archival, as if she lives inside every character's history. In Sophie's Choice, The Iron Lady, Kramer vs. Kramer, and dozens more, Streep's mastery shows in the detail. Vocal cadences, micro-expressions, posture, and breath. She builds characters from the ground up, disappearing so completely that audiences forget they're watching an actor at all. Streep's true greatness lies in her consistency. For over 4 decades, she has delivered performances that redefine genres, elevate co-stars, and influence generations of performers. She isn't just one of the GOAT, she is the summit other legends climb toward, knowing they may never reach her. GOAT status isn't given, it isn't awarded, it's proved, film after film. So what do these women have that every other level does not? A single thing no training can manufacture: inevitability. Level 7 is sacred ground. It isn't just about fame, it is a legacy of actresses who changed the language of acting itself, because these women didn't just perform, they reshaped the medium. Their influence is so deep that modern acting techniques, award structures, and even Hollywood culture orbit around their contributions. Every level below them exists because they carved the upper limit. Whether you agree or disagree with this list, one thing is certain: Hollywood creates stars, but only a few become artists. Only a few change the craft. Only a few leave behind work that outlives them. And in case you still don't get it, these levels aren't really about fame, they're about evolution. How an actress grows, adapts, and transforms herself across time. Because if Hollywood has taught us anything, the next GOAT might already be here. She just hasn't shown you who she is yet. So tell me, who do you think is climbing the ladder next? Comment your answer below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.